Magandang Araw. Ang pangalan ko ay si Daniel. And today we're going to be talking about like stuff in general. This is the first video I'm doing like this. So I'm not quite sure what we're going to be talking about. But hey, I know somebody who's from the Philippines. I'm Swedish, so I have some insight into challenges that might appear as for somebody who's coming from the Philippines to Sweden. Quite a culture shock, I imagine, generally. For instance, and this is a small thing, in Sweden, we drink a lot of coffee. Maybe you do that too. We eat using things like these, and not so much just this. This is something I learned was different. According to my friend, you know who you are, they Filipino mostly eat using spoons, and that's not the case here. I think you would use a soup mainly for a spoon, mainly for soups and porridge and other kind of stuff like that. This is not very interesting, but that's a small difference. I think the other main difference is that it's cold as hell here most of the time, and by cold as hell I mean around like I don't know what the average temperature is in Sweden, but it's about. I'm looking right now, for instance, and it's today's date. It's the 7th of October. It is 14 degrees out, which is kind of warm actually for October. And yeah, it gets to minus, I would say around -5, -10 degrees here in Scania, where I am at, Skåne. And in some places it gets up to -30 degrees in winter. So it's quite different climate-wise. And my friend keeps saying that, oh, this is so refreshing, this weather, this rain, this horrible, bleak, destructive, horrible, shitty weather that we have. And it's romantic. It's such a romantic weather. Except she would say it like it's very romantic. This weather to me is very romantic or something. She would say, and then it would be, I would laugh because this is like spoiled, come from a country with a tropical climate, and she likes the bad weather we have here, which is miserable. Right now, if I showed you outside, it would actually be pretty nice. So I'm not going to do that. I want you to live under the idea that typical Swede lives in an igloo, and that we're basically fighting for our lives against nature and the deadly cold all the time. That is the preferred image. And I'm sure you've all heard of things such as the Aurora Borealis. I can't pronounce that. I mean, I may be saying it wrong, but it's the Northern Lights. That's something that, for some reason, a lot of friends from Asia have said that they've been interested in looking at. It's kind of, most people here haven't seen it. And it's also way up, far up, you have to go far up north in Sweden, possibly Norway somewhere, to see it. Not down here in the south, where it's just normal. Or, as my Filipino friend would say, it's just the same. That's another fun difference. I've come to learn that the Philippine English and what people in the rest of the world would consider to be international English, they differ on a couple of key points. For instance, I have very many coffee. Now, that is a phrase I've heard repeatedly, and I would say I have much coffee, maybe. I mean, there's a lot of coffee in this pot. Well, I mean, there's not, but you get the point. Then there's the other thing. Instead of saying, I'd rather do this or I'd rather do that, it's, I'm more on this or that. Personally, that's my favorite. I love that. I think it's charming as hell, and I've begun to use it in my regular English, not so much by choice, but simply due to having heard it so much. I'm more on having cornflakes this morning. I'm more on having watching another movie this evening. It's fun stuff. And she gets very angry at me for saying it. Sorry. Well, this is my first video in this sort of mode. So we'll see if there's more. Hopefully there will be. Until then, take care. Take care of each other. Keep in mind social distancing. Don't cough in each other's mouths. And generally don't get the Rona. Okay? Take it easy.